Hello, jet fighter fans. So I was watching one of my subscription feeds, Diecast Dude. I like his channel because it's not just cars. He collects anything diecast. You know, heavy equipment, heavy machinery, and airplanes and other military things in various scales too. So if you're thinking outside just scale model cars, you might want to check out his channel. So I ordered this a ways back, and it finally showed up in the mail. So it's made by Xcartoys, which oddly, you know, this is an airplane, but maybe that's not the best brand name choice. Maybe they should just call themselves X-Toys or something. Alright, well, what we have here is the first Chinese-built stealth fighter. Well, the first 5th generation stealth fighter, I believe. Yeah. So only the American F-22 and F-35 are successors considered 5th generation operational stealth fighters. I guess the code name is called Mighty Dragon, and they do have a 2-seat variant, and but this is the single-seater. Obviously, if you can read Chinese, this packaging would make a lot more sense, but to me, not so much. They have 2 variations. I bought this off AliExpress, by the way. And the second variation with the 2 here, it just has different like pods on the wings. Alright, so Wikipedia, let's keep in mind this is Wikipedia, so this information could be incorrect, but I don't have time to research this stuff. Let's see, obviously it's from China. It's built in China by the Chengdu Aerospace Corporation. And this entered service in 2017. And this first flew in 2011 though. And then over 150 of these are already in service in China. China's the only country operating this plane right now. They're not going to sell this to other countries. Which does make me wonder about Russia. Because I think these engines are Russian. But Russia has their own stealth fighter-ish thing, but I'm not sure if that's considered a 5th generation. At least Wikipedia doesn't consider it that. Alright, so let's see about performance specs here. This thing is supposed to go Mach 2. Has a ceiling range of 20,000 meters or 66,000 feet. It has a, let's see, max takeoff weight of 37,000 kilos or 81,000 pounds. So obviously it's a big plane. It has 2 engines called Shenyang WS-10C afterburning turbofans. So those are Chinese engines, but somewhere else in the Wikipedia article it listed 4 other engine choices. So it gets a little confusing there, right? So naturally you can see the bomb bays or the missile bays are usually closed, and then you can see the canards here flipped up on the front. It actually looks very much like an F-35 minus the canards from the front view. Alright, what else here? This thing will go over 9 Gs in a turn, so you're blacking out for sure. And it can hold up to 11,000 kilos of weapons. Short range, long range missiles, I'm sure bombs and stuff like that. And then it has 4 external hardpoints. Not necessarily for combat flights, because that would ruin the stealth ability, but for training flights and extra fuel patrols, I suppose. I am a little curious if this is to scale, because of Xcartoys. Well, they make scale cars. Their cars do seem to be 1/64, but let's do a measurement. Why not, right? Wikipedia says the length is 21.2 meters, so if I take 21,200 millimeters and divide that by this measured length, bearing in mind even a millimeter at 1/200 scale is going to make a big difference. That wing is kind of in the way. It's hard to measure that. Alright, 102.24. .207. I do believe it's somewhere around 1/200. Again, maybe paint thickness could have thrown off that number. Maybe the way I measured it could have thrown it off. So sadly, it doesn't have landing gear, you know. But At the same time, this doesn't cost nearly as much as a Hogan or a Herpa model, which are the standards for 1/200 scale diecast airplane fighter jets. You got this stand here, very loose fit though. I would glue this together if I was you. You do have, says 2022, it says say the scale, and that's probably Chinese for Cheng J, the letter J, and then 20. So that's nice, it tells you what it is and when it was made and who made it. So that's a great base. And then it's just a, well, it's a diamond-shaped hole. Keep it from, I guess, falling or rotating off to the side. So I guess that makes sense. But for now, we'll just put that aside. And let's take a look here. Let's start with the bottom. So yeah, the bay doors have these jagged edges to reduce the stealth signature when they're open. And then a whole bunch of other jagged panel lines and stuff like that. I don't know what kind of missiles these are. These look like fuel pods, but I'm gonna guess that's like some sort of training missile, or maybe it's an electronic jammer. It actually has a tampo of some sort. So if anyone reads Chinese, maybe you could let us all know what that text says. Maybe it says pizza in 30 minutes or less. I don't know. Alright, so I don't know if this is a door. It looks like it would open and maybe a missile would come out of this thing, right? Here's a nice little tampo print of the Chinese Air Force insignia, PLAAF, I believe it is. And then we have some recessed hexagons there. I do see the hexagons on the real thing, so that's just the way they would be flat on the real thing, but they molded it in there for so you can see it instead of having them print it. But the leading edges into the engines do have printing, a lighter gray, and even inside there's a lighter gray, way in there. So that's impressive. So how's this thing constructed, I'm wondering? There seems to be a physical break right here, and then it stops somewhere. Or I guess this whole thing must be a separate piece, but it's so tight right here, it almost looks like it's the same piece of material, but I don't see any other breaks, so I'm guessing it, I don't know what's going on, it's weird. There's no other break that I can tell. Anyways, it's really tight, very well done. Some bottom wings here, interesting. The engines look conventional, they don't look like stealth fighter engines. They do have a little jaggedness here. Alright, so there's an orange light or sensor there. I guess that's it for the front. You know, some jaggedness to the landing gear opening. I really wish it had some landing gear. I'd be willing to pay a little bit extra if it had landing gear. Alright, so the canopy is this one piece of clear plastic, and there's even like an indication of a pilot in there, so that's nice. And then, yeah, those engine intakes do go in very far, actually. Whoa. They don't stop. So that's good. I wonder if there's an engine detail in there. I highly doubt it, but why not take a look? I can't even get the light all the way in there. No. I think it just kind of ends to a flat surface. That's what I'm seeing. Alright. So the top here we have more panel lines molded in, jagged lines, straight lines, and then it's got this light gray, medium gray, and dark gray, you know, disruptive pattern. And these wings here are separate. They are canted for stealth, I guess, right? If a radar signature comes directly from the side, it would be bounced off at a different angle, or from the ground, bounced off at a different angle. So it's all about angling things away from the original radar emitter. Some people do question whether or not the canards would give off the signature, especially if they move, right? But I don't think any proof it's been proven that that's a bad idea or not. Okay, yeah, these engines. Oh, well, this is cool. There's some blue light in there. Not light. It's so blue it looks like it's lit up. But some really cool, you know, fading of blue or something. Or what is this? This is clear blue plastic, I think. And the light's bouncing around in there, which makes it look illuminated. So that's a smart idea. I wonder if this whole thing is just clear blue and they painted it all, or if that's that might be a blue insert inside of this piece. Yeah, I think there's a break there. I don't know why Herpa and Hogan don't do this. You guys should pay attention, guys. Herpa, Hogan. This looks a lot cooler. Granted, it pretty much has to be in flight mode, I think. But I guess it could be taking off if it had landing gear down. Alright, yeah, more Chinese Air Force insignia. We got some green, red, probably lights, you know, for nighttime flying. And I guess that's about it. So, very cool. I'm actually quite impressed. It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I knew it wasn't going to have landing gear, but I also knew it was a fraction of the cost of these other brands I mentioned, which let me set up. Okay, well, let's compare it to these other models here. So the first one is made by Hogan, and it's the F-22. This was the very first 1/200 scale die-cast airplane I bought. I bought it at a local store. I'm just like, that looks pretty cool. This was back when Transformers was out, and it had that Decepticon that was like an F-22, I think. So you'll see this. So with that said, this is an old die-cast model now, and you'll see Hogan's Choice. I think Hogan's a Chinese brand, by the way. They don't have too many panel lines. I'm not sure if the real one does have too many panel lines, but yeah, they're mostly along the ailerons. Yeah, I'm not sure if there should be more panel lines in there, but Hogan just printed on this camouflage thing, and they just have an empty cockpit, but it's nicely detailed, you know. And then these look like stealth engines to me, with the V jagged pattern, and then yes, and it has landing gear, so you can just display it on the ground down. Hogan chose to print their bomb bay doors, or missile bay doors. So that's that guy. Let me put it in the same orientation. So the F-35, I have this one here from Herpa. Now Herpa's a German brand. They make all sorts of scale models, cars, buses, and airplanes, of course. So again, there's not too many molded lines, a lot of graphics printed on, but with stealth planes, maybe that makes sense because they don't want to have big panel gaps because that'll give away the radar signature. So, very voluptuous though, this F-35, considering it's a stealth fighter. And then yes, landing gear down. I can't remember, but there's probably an option to have it in flight mode. Maybe not actually, there's no peg hole, so I don't remember. This is kind of an old model also. So you'll see, well, let me bring out a few more. Reviewed this one not too long ago. This is a the Russian stealth fighter. So this is the Sukhoi Su-57, also known as the T-50. I don't really know what the name is, but the brand that made this is Herpa again. Now this one, Herpa chose to put in a lot of panel lines and then still print on top of it. So I don't know what they're thinking, but what I will tell you is this is a metal engine piece here, but unfortunately there's no glowing effect. But there is fan details molded in, but they're not equally molded, so it's not the best effort here by Herpa. And then landing gear again. So this is quite a big fighter as well. It's actually the biggest of the three that I put down. It's actually the biggest one probably on the tabletop here. And I think we have room to squeeze in one more, and that's the original one that I can recall, the F-117 stealth fighter. So I'm sure, you know, the U.S. Air Force has had other ones, but we just call those UFOs. Considering this was developed in the 1970s, it's just crazy. So I'm pretty sure UFO sightings today are really just military jets flying around, or military orbs, or donuts, or whatever the heck is flying out there. It's disturbing. Alright. So, Yeah, to look it up again. So if you're curious, Hogan made that model, the F117. Okay, so let's give you guys a top view. You can see the F-35 is a pretty small plane, and that was done, I believe, to reduce costs. It's a single engine, all the other ones are twin-engined, so perhaps it's a slower speed, but it's meant for shorter distances, and they even have a VTOL version. Okay. Okay, well, Xcartoys, if you continue to make cool airplanes, I would probably buy them. If for some extremely rare chance that you see this video, I would prefer if you gave an option of landing gear and charged more money. If you guys are new to 1-200 airplanes, look these up at a hobby store, or eBay would be even worse. But Herpa and Hogan airplanes are very expensive. So if Xcartoys can do it, you know, maybe a little pricier than this, and with landing gear, I think you'll get a lot of business. You'll definitely get all the diecast airplane collectors business, including me. Alright, well anyways, hopefully you guys learned something, that the world is not just diecast cars, but there are other miniatures out there, and hopefully I can share some of those with you. And I guess sooner or later I'll get another one of these 1/200 scale airplanes, and we'll just have to see who puts out the next one. Alright, bye now.